Wow, this isn't looking good for game preservation. Welcome to Game Crunch. Got an article here this morning that is kind of a little bit of a bummer. I kind of highlighted some key points just to kind of keep things short and sweet, just to get you guys along with your day, get everybody along with their day. But we'll go over this article here. It's basically talking about how lawyers and whatnot can't come to a decision on how to preserve video games. So let's get right into this article. So the ESA says members won't support any plan for any plan for libraries to preserve games online. So I've highlighted a bunch of key points here that I'm going to kind of read over and go over with you here. So the Electronic Software Association continues to not have any hand in efforts towards game preservation. So they're still not really doing anything. The new statements from the organization came in a hearing held by the United States Library of Congress Copyright Office to evaluate a proposed copyright exemption for remote access to archived games for video game researchers. So basically what we'll kind of go over here is they're kind of trying to come up with this idea for like an online library for these games, which isn't going over well. During the hearing, lawyer Steve England was asked about the possibility of allowing libraries to preserve legacy games. In response, he said there's currently no combination of limitations that would support remote access. In 2023, the Video Game History Foundation revealed that 87% of games released pre-2010 were currently not preserved in any capacity, which means these games might be lost to time. We don't want that. Attempts previously made by the Library of Congress were halted by the ESA. Sounds like they just keep, stopping progress on all this stuff, which said it would rely on publishers to take care of the efforts themselves. So this is the kind of part that's the bit of the kicker here. So they want to rely on publishers to take care of the efforts themselves. When you rely on the publishers to do that, let's take Nintendo, for example. So for preserving their, let's say, like Mario, for example, on some sort of online database. Let's say they want to preserve Mario 3. They're never going to do that. And there's a good reason why they're never going to do that. Because if they preserve it there and you can play it for free, then they can't re-release it on the Switch Online and get you to pay for it. They don't want that. They don't want to preserve it at all. They want to have it in the back burner. And I mean, for a lot of games, that's going to be fine. Like Gen 1 Pokemon games. Yeah, sure, they're going to be released on some sort of modern console eventually in time. We know this. Like, they were put on the 3DS. They're probably going to end up on Switch's next console. You know what I mean? Probably about every 10 years or so, they kind of bring them back in some capacity. And that's going to happen for a lot of your Marios and your Zeldas and probably like your Halos and your Tomb Raiders and stuff like that, like your big franchises. It's all those little games, and maybe those publishers or developers don't really exist anymore. And who knows who holds the rights? Who's preserving those games? Those are the games I think that we're more worried about, basically losing them. So let's continue here with this article. During the call, multiple solutions. So you're going to kind of see here that they just can't come to a decision. So during the call, multiple solutions to address the ESA's concern over remote academic access to older games were proposed, but they all got shut down by this England guy. On the latter topic, he said that online-based library could set up a physical office. So this is basically his solution, is if you're going to have like an online-based library, he said that basically there needs to be like a physical office or physical location. I guess the idea is if you're going to have that library, you should have the library physical, essentially, to meet that standard. Now, we're going to run into a problem with this. This is a huge problem because a lot of these games aren't physical anymore. What are we going to do 20 years from now when a lot of these games require online connections and connections to servers to download all the patches and download all the fixes and download most of the freaking game? Then what? This isn't a good long-term solution. So and allow for creation of what is effectively a free-to-play arcade and hosting a huge library of classic game titles. So yeah, basically here, build a arcade. Okay. AACS attorney Mike Ayers spoke up in support of the ESA's arguments. In his eyes, there should be more substance in combating the already restrictive preservation rules. I would agree with that. anybody can have a mailing address. So this is kind of, I guess, where he's arguing against that idea, because everybody can have a mailing address when it comes to checking boxes as opposed to having anything verified. So he's basically saying that an online library could just have a mailing address, and who's going to actually go in there and confirm that all 7,000 games they have in their library are actually there, physical, working on the premises? No one's going to do that. So it's just going to make it that any game downloading website or anything like that just has to have a physical address, and then you can put out whatever you want on there. Because, yeah, of course we have it. Of course we have that game. Of course we have Earthbound, you know? So he's just basically saying that, which, I mean, makes sense to me. Like, that, I agree. That doesn't quite work. But the only other key point here, really, that reading over the article, technology lawyer Kendra Albert argued that the ESA has been unwilling to meet researchers and preservationists halfway on these efforts. Any changes made or proposed, they said, will never be enough for the rights holders for these games. And I think she's completely right, because when you look at it from the business perspective and the perspective of these game developers, Nintendo and Sony and Xbox and Take-Two and Bethesda and all them, there's no benefit to them, because all they care about is really a dollar, really, at the end of the day. They're a business. So all they really care about is making a dollar. So why preserve when they can keep those games away from the public eye? And then if they bring them out in 10 years, well, shit, I haven't played that game in 10 years. Holy crap, yeah, I really want to play that game. But if it's available, maybe you got the itch to play it 5 years ago and you downloaded it, or went on one of these libraries and downloaded it. So I think leaving it up to these companies is, of course, never going to work for us consumers. And it looks like we're kind of not really getting anywhere in our battle for game preservation. And it's kind of sad. I would really hate to see a lot of these games go to the wayside. And, I mean, it's one reason why you got a big game collection, right? It's just unfortunate that a lot of the stuff in the middle, like the newer stuff, I'm going to need connections to download the rest of it. Nintendo is pretty good for that, but the rest of these games, man, these are kind of useless discs for the most part. I still just like having the physical media. You have that. There's a difference between having a physical media to me and having online purchases. I have very few online purchase only games. The fact is that at any point, if I needed to, I could liquidate this. I can't liquidate an online library at all. If I purchased the games online, let's say I had a huge thing happen and I needed a ton of money, well, I mean, I have this. I mean, I could rely on if I needed, you know what I mean? So, and I kind of always have that ownership of these games, so I don't really need to worry about if it doesn't get preserved. But anyway, I just thought that was a good article to share with you guys today, and I tried to keep it short and sweet, even though we're going on just over 8 minutes, but highlight the key points and keep you guys informed on what's happening. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. And if you like the video, like my content, I'm always doing video game news and video game related videos and fun stuff. I do this nostalgia series, I guess, that basically where I visit old games and play old games and talk about fun stories and video game news. I have daily shorts. So like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Have a good one.